Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Almondview podcast with myself, Liam Innes. Why is it so special, I hear you ask? Well, not only can you hear my dulcet tones, there's also an opportunity for you to watch me live in person with moving arms in HD, high definition content. And the question is finally answered. Do I have a very punchable face to go along with my very irritating voice? Yes, I do. In this episode, Thomas Froh, the handsome man beside me, and I are joined by the beautiful trio of Livingston FC media team, David Badura, Michael Hull and Blair Coburn. We are going to explore their journey to becoming the content dream team of Livingston Football Club, as well as discussing other topics that just naturally come up in this very loosey-goosey kind of conversation. However, before we kick things off, I would just like to say that we are currently sat in the beautiful function room of the Black Bull Inn, a quaint little village pub in Mid-Calder, West Lothian. That's not funny. It is a quaint little pub. It's nice. The pub prides itself on supplying great pub grub, as well as a selection of drinks such as your lagers, your juices, your wines, your ales, anything that you desire within limits. The function room that we are in right now can also be used for whatever. Birthday parties, wedding receptions, and believe it or not, gigs have been held here. That's right, actual music gigs, for which my band in 2013 sold this place out 3 times, something that Coldplay can say that they've never done. So if you want to find out more about the Black Bull's excellent function room or their excellent pub service, just phone on 01506 882170 or visit the Black Bull website www.blackbullmidcalder.co.uk to find out more. So as usual, sit back, put those trotters up and enjoy the next however many minutes of sheer Livingston FC based content with us here at the Almondview podcast. Right, so let's start off with a little icebreaker, those awkward little conversations that you have when you're training on your first day of work. Let's go around the table and introduce yourselves. Thomas, you don't need to. You're an expert panellist on the Almondview podcast.
I am.
Available on all good streaming sites. David, why don't you start us off? Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name's David Badura. I am the graphics and comms team at Livingston, which is just basically me, because don't need anyone else to help, but I do all the graphic stuff, so anything you see overlaid on some photos that one of the other team does, that's pretty much me. That's all I really do, to be honest. That's it.
You did nothing, mate.
That's fair.
Is that a fair assumption?
It's a fair assumption.
When did comms become a part of your role?
Yeah, I've never, comms.
I think you're just making it up now.
That's basically it.
Just remember your laptop would be a good start.
And hard drive.
And hard drive.
Right, so basically
Fucking love waving.
I do nothing. It's basically what we've got to. I'm just here for the crack and see what these boys
Moral
have to
support.
offer.
You're a good cheerleader.
I'm a hype man. That's basically me.
Hype man.
I'm an ideas man, basically.
The Flava Flav of this conversation.
Basically, exactly. See, someone gets it. Someone gets why I'm here.
If Make-A-Wish wanted to send a kid to Livingston, it'd be Dave.
We'll keep that in. And we'll move on. Blair, why don't you introduce yourself? I've already said your name, but introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
As you've said, I'm Blair Coburn. I do matchday videography for the club, so all the wee kind of sideline snippets that you see, goals, action, etc. That's yours truly recording it. I also help out recording the post-match interviews with David Martindale and the player, helping out Callum Brown. And we also do obviously the features that some fans have seen kind of throughout the season. Obviously the retro shirt stuff.
We'll get on it.
The retro shirt stuff and the behind the scenes of the team photo, which we'll come to later on, no doubt, which David is delighted to go with.
Proper buzzing, yeah.
Buzzing.
Excited.
But yes, that's me. That's myself.
Nice. And you've appeared on Top Livia?
Yes, I have bridged the gap, bridged
Boo.
the demilitarised zone. So
We'll edit
very
you
pleased
out.
to be.
Michael, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do at the club?
So I'm Michael, club photographer. So any imagery of kind of match days, training, commercial, signings, pretty much anything across the men's team, women's team, and soon to be all the academy stuff. So yeah, every imagery pretty much.
Nice. Are you the guy that requests for the old scarf over the head? Is that a requirement?
That's the first thing you ask.
Is it?
Basically.
Yeah, the scarf. No, we've not actually done the scarf over the head yet.
I know a guy with scarves.
We can do it tonight. I could be the guy. I can fulfill a dream.
Blair can be the middleman, as he's gone on both podcasts, so he can be that kind of like red and blue Crips, like
Yes.
Red and blue.
Yes.
Red and-
The gimp firm. Right, so David, when did you start working on things like graphics, your after extra time graphics, stuff like that? When did that all start, and what was the inspiration, and how did you sort of come up with the idea?
It was probably the start of lockdown. That's when it all sort of started. Actually, I done work for Edinburgh United. I was looking for a club to sort of do stuff for. Like, some clubs were obviously still playing, and I just wanted to sort of help local clubs. That was sort of the main thing. So I helped Stoneyburn and Edinburgh United. I done a lot of work because I knew a couple of the guys that were there, and it just let me. It basically gave me a sort of base that I could be creative with, and things I could do, and it sort of spiralled from there, because after the Edinburgh United stuff went out, and then Stoneyburn and other clubs sort of got in touch. I think I'm working with about 15 clubs at the moment, just sort of helping out here and there, and then just one thing led to another, and then just sort of got the call from the big club, and I just answered it, just like, no thanks, I'm unavailable. But like, basically, mate, so obviously I'm a fan of Livingston, so like that was sort of easy just to say, look, yeah, I'll help out, and because I think the guy or whoever done it before, they couldn't do it for whatever reason it was, so Dave Black approached me and was just like, is that something you could do and sort of we can work with? And I was just like, well, yeah, I'm a fan of the club, and I've been, at that point I was probably doing stuff for about 8-9 months, and yeah, just wanted to get involved and be part of the club, and I was dead. Like, when you're a fan, you'll literally do anything for the club. So it was exciting for me, because like I could basically showcase what Livy wants to be, and I've got that sort of control. So and then that's when it all sort of started. Like, most of the work gets done at the very beginning. So like, it was how the club wanted to look. So I was obviously working with Dave at the time, and was just like, this is the ideas that we've got going forward, and he liked it, which was probably a bonus, and yeah, it just all sort of spiralled from there, and I just kept doing more and more. So that was fun.
No, amazing. What about you, Blair? How did you get involved with the club? Tell us the story. Tell us the tale.
It's a funny story.
It's a funny story. as I said on the other Livingston FC based content podcast. Funny story.
I'm joking at that.
Funny story. Pretty much very similar probably to Dave, in that the call came from Dave, but weird circumstances. So the whole context behind it is, if you recall a game this season we went up, I think we played Morton at home on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I just bought a drone and I thought, I'm going to get a shot at the stadium, it was going to look class. So that was like 2 years ago. Looked class. Randomly got a message off of Dave on Instagram, I think it was, like last November time, saying, were you the guy who took the photo of the drone of the stadium? Got to take this photo that I totally forgot about. Well, yeah, I'm going to say no. Asked me if I wanted to take an updated shot for some work they were doing to do up the suite upstairs in the stadium. Absolutely jumped at the chance. I think at that time, obviously with lockdown and that, it would have been like 8 months since I think anybody had really been in the stadium, so good chance to get to the ground. I thought, bonus, able to do a bit of work for the club that I've supported. Fantastic. Got down there, met Derek one night after my work, got some good shots of the stadium which are now used upstairs, which is great, and then from there Derek invited me to the game on Saturday, which was the Saturday following, which was against United. I think it was the first league game that Davy Martindale had in charge, so good to get along to that. Got some photos as well. Went to a couple other games over the festive period covering the photo duties. Then kind of started January, obviously this year I kind of got in discussion with Dale, and kind of one thing led to another, and discussed, well, I've always kind of had this feeling that videos, that kind of last kind of piece of the jigsaw we kind of were missing online.
Yeah.
Really thought it was something that we could kind of drive on and really kind of outline like what we were all about and kind of showcase it, and then probably even more so given nobody was in the ground at that point and everybody's kind of huddled around the laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of put it to the guys then at a trial game, the home match against Ross County just before the winter break, and one thing led to another. Quite happy to take it on till the end of the season for them. It's just great arms and legs for that. So yeah, really good to get involved, and as I said, I've been a fan my whole life, so to get that opportunity to go in is absolutely cracking. I was never going to turn it down, to be honest. So really good to get involved, and the guys have been brand new since the day one I came in, so
that's awesome.
Really good, really good.
I had that drone shot as my my desktop.
Letting you say only had you.
But I changed it because it was like the version I nicked it off Twitter, and it was like a really shit resolution.
Cropped.
So if you've got the good resolution,
I'll hook you up.
yeah, you
I'll
can hook
hook
me
you
up.
up.
You can hook me up.
Hook you up.
My work computer, I've got like a really shit. It's when they tore the picture in between laying the new one.
Yeah,
And it's just like a black pip. It's the only photo that'll show up. So if you could send it to me as well, I'll
See that first drone shot's so funny.
30 quid, eh?
30 quid for each. That
Only
first
charge-
shot,
only
though,
charge top
that
living
first
15
shot,
as well. Fucking snake.
like that first shot though, that was like obviously the last season we had grass, and it looks like a tatty field. Like, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
But, looks a lot better now. Put it that way.
See, in terms, you said that like it was a bit of a missing piece of the jigsaw doing the videos and stuff. So, did you sort of take any inspiration from any other clubs, or did you just think that would sort of raise Livingston's social media output a wee bit more?
Basically, who did you copy?
I'll be honest, I definitely winged it probably for the past couple of months. Definitely winged it at the start, but I mean, I always had that idea in my head, like that kind of pitch level kind of imagery would just kind of lend itself really well to, do you know, what we were doing, and I think it is kind of slotted in really well with obviously what else we put out on social media. But in terms of kind of inspiration, etc., just go with what seems right. And to be fair, the fans have been receptive since day one, which has been really encouraging. People seem to enjoy it. I think more so when people weren't in the ground. It's that kind of added layer of bringing people closer to the game, which I think is hopefully, if even a couple of people have appreciated that, then it's job done as far as I'm concerned.
No, absolutely. So, Michael, this question's been discussed already when you were away, but tell us about your previous photography gig. I'm sure
Fucking hell.
Tell us, because the fans might not know.
So I've worked for several clubs, not just the certain club they're referencing, but kind of my biggest kind of spell at a club pre-Livingston was Crystal Palace.
Wait! Crystal Palace! Wait! Crystal Palace, friends!
For everyone playing at home, take a shot. Jesus.
So tell us more about it. Like, what kind of stuff were you doing? Were you involved with the first team, or just across the board?
So when I was at Palace, I joined them August 2014. So kind of my breakaway into them was I started off with their women's team.
Right.
I'd kind of just finished work. I was doing bits of work with Portsmouth and Crawley previously. Noticed that Palace women's team weren't being covered. Took a chance. Hey, can I come and do some stuff? Started from there really. Within 2 months, got asked by the programme editor at the time, Johnny Rogers, if I'd come and do 18s, which then led to the 23s, and then probably within 6 months got asked, can you come and do some photos in the gantry for Alan Pardew, help him create a playbook, and then it kind of went from there. And then season 15-16 was the first kind of like full season where I was then involved with the men's team. So yeah, then it became doing like training and just anything really. So I was there from 2014-17. So yeah, kind of did a bit of everything.
So what brought you to Livingston?
So I kind of took a couple year break. I did freelance a year after Palace, and then I took a 2 year break. Kind of football media kind of get a bit tiring at the time, so I just wanted a break. Met Derek at Hamilton Accies a couple of years ago, which I love, and it was just by chance that kind of I got introduced to Derek by Marcus Nash, who was Accies media manager at the time, and it was just by chance that when the previous outgoing photographer Livy Sam was in the process of leaving. They were looking for someone. Derek remembered I wanted to get back into it, took a chance, messaged me if I'd be interested, and yeah, kind of jumped at the chance. Was supposed to start in June, but frustratingly got COVID, so it kind of pushed things back a bit. And then I started July the 1st, and yeah, kind of absolutely loving it since.
So obviously you guys are in control of you're the content kings in my eyes. Personally,
That's fair, mate.
absolutely fucking love it. Genuinely though, I think the club's content's been fucking raised so much this season. But what did you guys think before? Obviously you guys more as fans, what did you think of the content before? I'm guessing you probably never seen a lot of Livingston FC based content before, but what did you think of it before you sort of took over the reins?
Do you want to go first?
I was hoping for Mike.
I can talk as well. So I'd photographed Livingston before. So before I took my 2-year break, Livingston was the first Scottish Premier League club that, when I was just going around doing games across Europe and stuff, Livy was the only Scottish Premier League club. But it's the first season back in the Prem where I took a chance. Said, could I come and do a game? And the guy, I can't remember his name, who it was, but was like, yeah, just come do what you want. So the game I came to was against Accies. Well, I think, was it Lawless scored about in like 3 minutes?
What a goal.
But then the rest of the game was just terrible.
Yeah.
And so from my experience from them, that's kind of where I kind of learnt about Ray and the stuff that Ray used to do. So kind of know the history with Ray being photography and stuff. And I think it showed like the first month that I did photography for Livingston, when it was properly announced, one of the very first comments was #BringBackRay. So that was a great.
Bring back Ray.
So that was
What a vindictive bunch of knobs Livy fans are, eh?
that was a great start to it. I was like, I feel so loved already.
That's to be fair, that's also very funny. But in terms of like I know obviously you don't run the Twitter, but like even something as simple as the goal graphic, whereas before it was literally just, it was a wee bit more than what I'm describing it, but it was black background, gold writing, goal. Like, did you look at that and think, I can raise this by something as simple as adding a player's face to it, or like how did you sort of get that, how the content juices flowing, how did you get it started?
That's for me.
That's for you.
That's
for you, man. You're graphics and comms, don't you know?
Correct. But to be fair, I mean, we're still at the probably early stages of everything. I mean, there's still more to come. So like, even in terms of like the goal stuff, like there's still, like, I don't know if you've seen like the sub stuff. Again, it was the players sort of full colour, and then like for them coming off, it was like sort of black and white.
Yeah.
Obviously they're coming off, and it was just that way. It was just like, we want to create something a wee bit more, because there are a lot of fans that are maybe based, like, that can't get to games. So it was really try to help Dave like bring over what's happening on the pitch with that visual, because at the end of the day the visuals do sort of capture the eye on the socials. So I mean, we've created content that's not even sort of been brought to light yet, because it's not the right time. There might never be the right time. But we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline that we're going to use. But I think the main thing for us, it was like bringing something bright, vibrant. Obviously Mike's got the photography, and I think it's good, like working with Mike, there's a lot of stuff where, you know, we just get the total freedom of any sort of, you know, image that we need, and if we don't have it, we'll get it. So it's obviously good like that, you know, we can request stuff and we'll get it. And you know, there's even photos sort of in game as well, which is probably a first for the club, where stuff gets sent over, and I don't know if you've seen, but like the half time and the full time, they've normally got scores and like something from the game, which is obviously really helpful, which Mike's brought to the club. And they just sort of, again, it's probably stuff that people don't even realise, like the sort of background stuff that we've brought in. I mean, that's from all of us really, and like even just having access to photos, like, you know, as I said, people can't get to the game, and it's quite important. So as I said, there's loads more to come. Mike coming on board has been a massive help. He's done so much as well. And yeah, I think for me personally, it's just to bring the action of the games to life and sort of build that throughout the club, which is why, you know, we've brought on like the women's stuff as well, which is obviously we'll probably touch on that. But just building the club as a brand. I think for me it's quite exciting to build a brand like Livingston has is a brand, and it's like sort of like potential sponsors, fans, people, even away fans. I mean, there's even content that we've sort of planned that is going to include away fans if we can get stuff like that, and it's, we want people to come to the club, whether it's as a Livingston fan or if it's an away fan. We want them to enjoy the day and want them to feel part of something. So yeah, there's loads in the pipeline, and it's quite exciting.
So I mean, you sort of mentioned there that you've got the sort of freedom to do what you want. Like, do you feel that as well, Blair, as the sort of doing the video? Do you feel like, or are the club giving you sort of, we would like you if you'd done this, but do you still have that freedom to sort of create what you want, especially on match days, like in terms of different angles of cameras and like behind goal or the side or whatever?
I would say on match day in particular, definitely just left them on devices, which is kind of what you see really. In terms of like limited stuff, I'll be honest, obviously like the guys have ideas and they're like really, really approachable, and I think that's probably the beauty of like working with like obviously Hack and Mike as well. Obviously feeding into that is really, really good as well. But like you take like the run up to the cup final, for example, like went in quite particularly there and a couple of bits that were really quite targeted, which we kind of came up together. So I think there's definitely a lot of good ideas within the club as well, and I think the fact that we've got like that resource now to actually make that happen is really, really good, and definitely a positive. As I said, it's as long as the fans appreciate it. I think for us that was kind of the first part of it, is obviously we want to give content to the people that the club is, who they support, obviously. And then kind of beyond that, it's about trying to like encourage new people to come along, and new fans to kind of support the team, etc. And on top of that, as Alex says, if it's attracting potential sponsors and making it look a more professional kind of outlook for the club, it's that's all positive things. And as I say, it's early days and definitely got a lot of really good ideas which we can hopefully get in place over the coming season.
But I mean, one of the things as well is we want to hear from like the fans. What do they want to see? What do they want? Because at the end of the day, we want to create something that people want to watch. Like
that's a big thing for me.
Well, on that, right? We're going to mention it.
I'm ready.
So, in terms of stuff that the fans want to watch, me in particular, as I sit here in my 97, 98, I think, away top, the retro shirt content.
That was a fantastic idea. Never came up with that. Tell you that for free.
So whose idea was it?
That was 900% mine. 100% mine. Yeah, it was me. So it was 100%.
After pestering.
Yes, tell us how it sort of came about.
So obviously I love retro shirts. That was like a big thing for me. Obviously we've only been around for a wee while, and we've had some like the early stuff. So basically what it came down to was a photo up against a fence wall with 4 retro shirts that I sent to Derek every single day until he caved in and said, aye, fine, let's do it. so I just kept sending him the photo, and he sort of, I think it got to the point where it was just like shut up, and that was it. And then it was like we'll do it as part of the media day. So it was a lot of pestering, and I'm glad he gave in, because I think it was well received by people.
Yeah, but I mean personally, I don't know about you, Thomas.
Yeah, I loved it.
Jesus, it was something a bit left field, and again, I think I've not seen any other club do it. Like it's something as so simple of just getting current players to wear a retro shirt, but seeing it was the photo of Ayo Balai in that first away kit.
So weirdly enough, it's funny that you mentioned Ayo, because that was the first. Blair was the person that actually mentioned before even the retro stuff was signed off and said yes, we go for it. It was Blair that was like, I want to see Ayo in this blue shirt. So I actually showed Ayo the message and was like, oh, this is the one that Blair's picked out for you, and instantly he was like, I'm wearing it, I want it. So as soon as when it came to it, he automatically knew what shirt he wanted to wear, and the photo came right well. And I think the other bits that shows how well it is, and Dave's going to be sitting here just like keep fawning was the fact that within minutes of it going live on Twitter, the SPFL were the very first pro account that saw it and retweeted it. Then in the first day, I think it got over 20,000 views in the first day alone, just on Twitter. and now you're seeing, is it Wraith Rovers that's now doing a retro shirt thing? Yeah. So the fact that on our idea,
it is our idea, we're a team.
But you're the leader.
and it's just
Team leader ideas, man.
and it's that kind of thing. It's just kind of, yes, other clubs are like doing retro stuff, but in Scotland, Livy were the first one. We were the first team that kind of really put out like a retro kit shoot. Yes, clubs are doing retro inspired shirts. Rangers is obviously pumping out a commemorative shirt every 2 days at the moment, but we were the first one that did an actual proper retro shoot, and now you're seeing other clubs wanting to do the same. So it's for to do something like that, for us it was massive cheat. Like for us, just to kind of watch the reaction to it and seeing how well it did, it makes the work even more enjoyable.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I quite enjoyed was like every fan was literally quote tweeting it and be like, "This is a great idea, Hearts, get involved." And it's like, "Oh, the Bankies could do this." Yeah. I mean, it's like, honestly, the amount of teams that were just like, "Oh, I love this idea, I love doing it," and it's just like even away from Livingston, it's like we want, like, I think the bigger goal is to obviously inspire and sort of get that message that fans love like old football tops. So that was good. It was almost like trend setting, wasn't it? That was quite exciting.
I think see the fact it tapped into probably nostalgia for so many people.
Oh yeah,
it's just that's like the clincher for me.
Well, that's the thing. Like there's old highlights of Livy matches on YouTube, and there's like 5,000 Livingston supporters there. So even if it sort of inspired a few of them, they see it popping up on Twitter that used to come to games and don't anymore, and go, I remember having that shirt as a kid or whatever, and it sort of but were you surprised about how well it was received? Like, did you think it was going to be like, it'll be Livy fans and that's it? Or
I'll answer it in a non-biased way, because they will be like, fucking knew it was going to be a smash. To a degree, because with everything that we want to do, with the experience and knowledge we have, we're smart enough to kind of be aware of what is trending and what's popular and stuff. Mm-hmm. So even though the photo, like the idea is nothing new, but the actual photo shooting, the way it was done was. So we kind of did have an inkling, like we know this is going to do well. We didn't think it'd do as well as it did. That was amazing, but it's one of those ideas that you get an idea, like. And honestly, because everyone saw the videos, and like the video that Blair put together was incredible with the music and the way it was shot, and then obviously it was another bit that it was a feel good video piece that the results were irrelevant. It was just a happy fun piece about Livingston.
I think like even off the back of that, like that was like the first chance that we got to showcase what we could do. So it was just like, this is the content that we can produce. It's just like even if it was a total failure, it was like that thing, get the players together, this is who we are, we're obviously we're the media kings or whatever. Content machines.
All about alliteration on the Almondview podcast.
Come on, comms guy.
But I think that was like the introduction, and like it was just like maybe try to get a wee bit of momentum off the back of that. So like obviously the photos that like Mike produced were absolutely stunning, and the video just went absolutely crazy, and it was just like, well, if this is what the fans want, we can get more of that. So it was quite exciting.
Just touching on the sort of creating content at the minute, we had a great win at time of recording on Saturday against St Johnstone, but obviously this season compared to others it's been a bit of a slow start for the team itself. So is it hard to create content, especially with the videos that I'm thinking mainly of trying to produce something that will keep the fans on side instead of the usual sort of, this is shite, Livy. Is it hard for you to create when the team are in a bit of a rut?
There's a funny story
Paul is very glad to be on a Saturday, because I was getting a bit fed up not actually producing anything.
Day work is what you're looking for,
it is a tough one, because I think we're all driven, we want to produce something, we want to like put stuff out and create like consistent output, but at the same time you don't want to create content off the back of relatively negative results and not kind of stir the pot, so to speak. But it is quite a difficult one, I guess, and I think that's the kind of challenge for us, is if you are creating like content, if it's generally neutral, like the retro kit shoot, as Mike says, just like results were almost kind of secondary at that point.
Yeah,
at the kind of start of the season, you know, it had that feel good factor about it. It's creating stuff like that fans can feel engaged with the club regardless of what's happening on the pitch. That's probably the challenge for us, I would say.
So we've talked about creating loads of content for the men's team, but you also create content for the ladies team as well. Whose idea was that? Was that brought to you by the club, or was that something that you guys thought we need to
Mike,
sort of
100% Mike.
because that's the thing though. I mean, I personally at one point I thought the ladies team, it was announced and they went, right, we've done it now. It was a tick box exercise. I think we were the only club in the Premiership at the time
correct.
that didn't have a ladies team. So not that they weren't sort of mentioned or anything, but this season, last year obviously they didn't really play a lot, but this year it's sort of been raised again with content for the ladies. So yeah, how did that all start off? I'm looking at you because it looks as if it was down to you.
It was basically Mike. He done it all.
I can't. But basically when I joined, it was under the emphasis of the priority was kind of capturing the men's team, and it was me basically saying to the club, well, I want to capture the women as well, because for me a club photographer should be capturing the club. Because there is more to it than just the 11 men that play on a Saturday. And in this day and age, kind of women's football is on the up. I'm someone probably like yourself, Thomas, has been involved in women's football for I started photography 2012 and I was working with Arsenal women's reserves 2013, and I've been doing it ever since. And I said that's how I got into Crystal Palace, was through their women's team.
Oh, Crystal Palace!
Shot.
So it was one of those things that, again, kind of looking through the Livingston stuff, saying that they didn't really have anything, and obviously the kit launch was the first time that the women's team had been involved in the men's team. And so there was no reason why it couldn't be captured. And so obviously at first it was just me doing the photography, and then Mr. Badura came along, and then he came along, started doing the graphics, and is now obviously doing like live tweets as well. And Blair's been coming to the games as well and doing the same kind of video style that we do in the men's team. Because it's just, there's so much importance to capturing the women's team. And so like when in a month, 2 months time, when the academy's up and running, it'll be the same for them, that I'll start covering them as well. Because it's another aspect to it. Is kind of my thoughts and opinions when I joined with Livy was a community club, and therefore you want to kind of capture everything for the community, to the community, and the women's team is a part of that. So, kind of that's how it kind of really started. And it's just, and obviously like they all love it, and kind of the fans are getting more behind it. The men's players are kind of, they're liking all the stuff that's posted. A couple have even mentioned about coming to some of their stuff, so it's nothing good that's coming from it really.
Well, it was something that I raised with Thomas, like recently. I've I'd be trying to follow the women's games if I was out on a Sunday or whatever, and I'd be refreshing the Twitter page and there'd be nothing. There'd be goal Livingston, then nothing for about 2 days, and then they go, oh, by the way, we won 1-0 or something like that. But now that you're involved in the Twitter,
dear Liam, we've scored again, 11-1 for you, big boy.
That would be so appreciative in the next week's game. But again, it just, as Mike said, it just sort of, it just brings a whole different level of professional sort of feel to it, and they are getting involved now, and the club are sort of engaging more with the women as well. Would you agree with that? Because
that is another thing to it. It's not just capturing it for the sake of capturing it, it's also helping promote the club, because when everything that they do, they're representing Livingston. When they use the name, when they play the stadium, when they wear the kit, so anything they do is a representation of the club as well. So therefore you kind of want to capture them and document them in the most professional, best looking way as possible.
No, absolutely.
I think as well, it's like, I think Mike's enthusiasm was way up here, and everyone else was like way down here, like, mayor work. You're volunteers, so
I think your enthusiasm for Mike, your enthusiasm has really made it. I think you're a bit of peer pressure to get Hack on board, and a bit more to get me to convince me to come along.
If I remember correctly, like when it came to, because you came, the first pre-season game you came to was Ayr United during the week, and you were like, women's football shit. And then
in uncertain terms,
and then you came to that one game, and now you've pretty much been to every game since.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that although we do generally love to slag each other off all the time behind the scenes, our main goal is just basically what's best for Livingston, and that's the thing. I didn't want to get involved in the women's team. I didn't want, again, more work. No thanks. But Mike's enthusiasm, and he wanted to do it, and I was like, look, well, we're part of a team, so I'll come along. And obviously, I enjoyed the game. I didn't think I would, to be fair, but I did. And we just sort of took, as I said, it was a brand. We just sort of took the brand right across the club, and the girls have been really receptive. They've sort of liked that, and they've been really approachable, and they've always been up for doing stuff, which has been quite helpful as well. And with the feedback we've had, has been pretty good. And again, if it wasn't for Mike, I wouldn't even be involved. And then I've just sort of take on more and more of a role, as I say, do the live tweets and that now, because I wanted to do a wee bit more, and I think it's been quite fun so far.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think it's Thomas is the residence ladies man, so
it's unbelievable, really. I think obviously with the way it all started with COVID and stuff, it kind of messed everything up a little bit for the women. And I think it was a shame that they had that in their first season, but I think it should have been popping off and getting big. But I think the way that this season's been with your guys' involvement, it's been so professional. And without sounding like I'm just kind of kissing your arses, it's been unbelievable.
Keep it coming.
And
someone has it. Someone appreciates the work.
From you the inside knowledge that I have from the team, I know that one of the girls really appreciates it. She loves the content. She thinks what you're doing are brilliant. I don't know about the rest of them. But I'm sure they'll love it. You see them reposting stuff all the time, and it should be a thing to be proud of. Like when Rebecca scored her first goal for Livingston, I was fucking buzzing. The only video of that goal was from me and my phone at the back of the stand. See if there was a better video of that.
Yeah.
Like as a Livingston fan, I'm
how
like,
should you pay for that sort of stuff?
I'll help pay for it. But yeah, it's unbelievable. It's really, really good. I think
to be fair, it's quite nice to hear it, because the girls are always just like, oh, we really appreciate it, and it's really good, and there is a point where it's just like, right, we've heard that, keep going. They're generally shut up. They're really approachable, and it's nice to hear, but Mike deserves probably most of the credit, because he's got us all on board. So it's been definitely fun.
Well done.
It's nice to see other people who've got a passion for the game. Obviously, I was brought into it watching Blackburn United when Rebecca started playing for them, or Livy CFC back in the day. But I always kind of love to see other people who've got the passion for the game like you do, Mike. So I think it's brilliant that you've come
all right. Luckily, me and Blair in between. Come on, right, we'll finish this off.
the tweets are good as well.
Come on, Thomas, let's go.
I mean, everyone probably loves it. When they see Dave's tweets, seeing little Jen Dudesy scoring goals, everyone loves it.
I do. I'm a big fan of the UB Beauty. Get a UB Beauty like that one. I do like that.
To be fair, I think every mistake that I've ever done has been picked up on, and Jen Dodds is now wee dudes. I think Mike captures Sharon, and her face just looks like Wallace every time with the big grin from Wallace and Gromit, and it's just oh my god, I'm just going to the girls hate me for that, but it's definitely good banter.
I think that's one of the things that's different between men's and women's football is women's football you can have a much more personal relationship with the players in terms of contact and interactions. I'm not saying that there isn't an appreciation stuff from the guys, because there is, and as the season's progressing, however they react to all the media stuff is fantastic. But with the women's stuff, we'll go to games and we'll end up chatting with the players before a game, after a game. They bring us coffees, just it's little things like that just make it good.
Well, I hope they're listening. Keep the coffees up. These are the caramel latte. So
you're waiting quite a while on Sunday, though. I seem to remember you complaining about your waiting for a coffee.
Fiona, what's going on? Fiona,
to be fair, they are brand new and they do appreciate it. So but coffees is definitely a winner to keep us coming.
Amazing. And obviously, we'll do a time check before I move on. 10 minutes, that'll be enough. Now obviously, you two are donning your amber and black kits. Mike's sort of missed the memo and brought a MLS
Repping Toronto. Yes.
but I mean, as Livingston supporters, like you sort of mentioned it earlier, like, you know, you got the call to get on board and you jumped at the chance, but just like, is there still times, especially last season when there was no fans in, like there must have been times you were just pinching yourself going,
really,
this is unbelievable.
I think probably at the best of times it'd be quite surreal. It's still, don't get me wrong, like we've been obviously in recent weeks to like Ibrox, Tynecastle, obviously we had a full house against Celtic, quite surreal at that point, but to see us like play games like half a season for myself with nobody in the ground is really surreal.
Yeah.
Do you know, the 2 games at Hampden in particular were extremely surreal. And but for me that kind of almost made it a bit more important, kind of felt like a bit more important what I was doing. Do you know, the fact that nobody was there in person to see like a lot of these
We relied on Blair Copa.
I know, pretty well.
I couldn't believe it.
A lot of responsibility.
See, so just touching on that though, like, were you in particular at Hampden? I mean, the cup final itself was pish for us.
We'll talk about that later, mate.
Yeah, but I mean,
negative Nancy over
I know. Fucking always negative, yeah. But the semi-final though, unbelievable, right? Like that was amazing. So, but for you, were you sat there going, I'm in work mode, and then as soon as Scott Robinson puts us ahead, are you going,
it's a weird
I'm a fan.
It's weird because like the enormity of like a game like that is not lost on probably on anybody, but like I think the fact that we were there and like really the guys who were with the team, so like myself, Carl and Dave, Dale, like we're all Livy fans.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of knew, and we were almost like that was drummed up a wee bit more than maybe it should have been before it, but you've got to be professional with it. But as soon as the ball hit the back of the net, I kind of like after half a second I was like, Jesus Christ, we've scored, like we're ahead at hand and we were going to go to a cup final if it remains like this. And but like honestly, see the last 5 minutes of that game, like it's an actual wonder like there's any usable footage, because I was shaking like an absolute madman. Just I've never felt that nervous at a game of football. I don't know if it was even worse because of, you know, I'm holding the camera and recording it, but it looked terrible. But the final whistle, what a feeling. But let's not talk about the final. No, well, we know one guy that was at the final as well.
Yeah.
A guy that you don't really think about. He's in charge of the ticker tape. He's the one that does the ticker tape when they're lifting the cup, and he was there, and he's a massive Livingston fan. And he had to do it. He had to get the blue and white ticker tape for St John. Honestly, he said it was like soul destroying having to do it.
But then on the flip side, get
away, David. Get away, but
positive.
Like if that was Livy, like that would just be like that would just be. It was just like.
Do you know what? We obviously done like all the stuff at the club in the run up to the week before the final.
I was in that video too.
You came along. That was before we really knew each other.
On Premier Sports.
It was just like wish the players luck and all that, wasn't it?
So we kind of done like
on Premier Sport.
No,
it was a build up.
No, it wasn't. No, because
so we done a couple of bits like the long front piece. We got like a couple of fans in. We're going to talk about like the 2004 final and obviously watching the team in lockdown and what they thought and that. But
thanks for them.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, that was, I think they had footage. So I think I was like 15 or 16 at the time. I had a tinfoil cup.
Yeah.
So like that, obviously that was like.
So you did the video twice? Incredible.
No, it's just like everyone just loves.
But like we were discussing it before, like it would have been such a bittersweet thing if we'd ended up winning it, because nobody would have been there to see it. And I really obviously hope we'll get to a final again, but I really hope it's obviously there's fans there, because it's a bit mince to see your team playing a final and nobody's there. Obviously, so that was a bit mince.
For your Roberts, man.
Would have been even worse watching it probably at home. To be honest,
it fucking was. It was even worse.
It wasn't great watching it at home.
I've just got a wee question here before we move on. Are Livingston fans a hard bunch to please? We've already had the hashtag Bring Back Ray campaign. We've already heard about that. Sorry, I started that. But but in terms of the other, like we sort of we mentioned earlier, of, you know, Motherwell were producing content of like when they were getting beat and they were still, you know, just coming up with a "we go again" with the arm out and that. So, like, have you found any sort of negative feedback since all of you have come on board at all?
No,
just the spelling mistakes, I
think. For me, no. So kind of, I mainly kind of do most of the posts on Instagram for the club's account as well, and generally it's very rare that there'll actually be negative comments on there, which is quite nice. So kind of, but then it's, I think because it's the first few months of the season, kind of it's something that the fans really haven't had before, and they kind of, I think people are generally enjoying that on a whole, and they can pass kind of, because at the end of the day, the stuff, we'll still be doing the same job regardless of the results. Obviously we want winning results and we want better results, because then we can create more enjoyable, more fun content, but generally the stuff that we do isn't going to change depending on that. So I think probably for this season it'll be that enjoyment of kind of like, oh, it's great, and then probably next season, if it's, that's when the comments might, like the initial kind of enjoyment and excitement of having new photography and like more videos and more graphics, once that's kind of become the norm as such, because it is still quite new and fresh, that's when it might be like, oh no, like that you'll start getting all the comments on posts like, why is this person not playing, like blah.
Well, I think as well, it's like we've not put everything out, like there's still stuff to come, like, so I think like that's quite important, that like we didn't just want to have, like, we've got so many ideas that probably crop up about 3 a.m. in the morning in the group chat, which is basically me being like, we need to do this.
Well, let's correct this. When he says ideas come up in the chat at 3 o'clock, it's his idea. And it's about a 6-page document of like, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this.
We're getting a proposal for the club, like, we'll take that. But that's generally like that's how it is. Like, I think like there's still more to come. No one's been negative towards it really. Like, I think people have sort of enjoyed that like stuff comes out, like even like stuff that doesn't really come out that often, like obviously Team of the Week. It's obviously good that like there's bits and bobs that haven't really been released because we've not been able to really. So there's still loads more to come, like.
No, amazing. Obviously we have Dave here, who's a massive advocate of the retro shirt game.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to go around the table. We'll start with Thomas actually. What is your favourite retro? What would you say is retro actually? What's your definition? Anything before what year?
I'd probably say, I mean obviously the years keep going on, but I would say like pre-2000 maybe, something like that.
Oh, pre-2000.
Yeah.
Pre-2000.
Oh.
Jesus.
I'd say up to like, about 2001 or so, kind of like anything before that.
He said 2001 because I know what shirt you're going to choose.
Yeah.
So we'll say 2001.
We'll say 2001. There's no rules. So my favourite shot is the 2001 Murray shot, the black bar. The angle with the black bar.
Inspired.
Oh, it's just the most lovely shot. I think secondly followed by the one that you're wearing.
That's classic.
That's a beautiful shot as well. And I've got one that's too small for me. It makes me really upset. But I've recently come into possession of the 2001 shirt, fully signed by the team. Kind of brand new at a loft. I got very lucky with that. Got it for free. Don't know how that happened. But I just love that shot so much. It's just it's the one that reminds me of like having as a kid. Between that one, the one that you've got, and then there was also an amber one that I had that was the old badge.
This badge on it.
There was a couple of stripes down the arm.
Oh, that was a Mitsubishi, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it went Mitsubishi and then it went Motorola. It was like a flip. Weird.
There's a picture of me at 6-year-old at Christmas. I got it for Christmas, and there's a picture of me like wearing that shot, and it's brilliant. So my favourite one. I'm talking about the morning. My favourite one is the black bar. It's just stunning.
Yeah.
I'd love to see something like that ever again.
Hint. Get it done.
Dear Davey, Thomas wants to see you.
What about yourself, David? What's your favourite?
This is my favourite. This is the favourite one, probably. That was probably the first real season I sort of started watching. So, well, that I went regularly anyway. Just because with the badge going right through it, and it's just like they didn't make shirts like that anymore. Like it's obviously quite nice, but like maybe shirts I don't have, like the first ones, they were stunning. The blue, like people don't like them, but you've got like the blue and red, the blue and red one. I think Ayo wore it in the
classic.
So nice.
It's a beautiful shot.
Brilliant.
Beautiful shot.
Like that was stunning. I think that was the second one, and like was it the first one that was red? I think John Nubley wore it at the retro shoot. It was just like it's just stunning. Like it's just like shirts that were horrible back in the day. Like now they're just like that's minty. Like, but the one that you said, I think that's just like when that was our peak. That we were playing at third in the SPL. Like, and a lot of things that like clubs maybe didn't really get is like it's not really sometimes about the shirt. It's about what's in the shirt. So like one thing that maybe a content thing is like can players wearing the shirts and what they thought of it and the memories they had from it, which would be quite a good thing. But this was my favourite, and then the sort of two away tops at the very beginning, that was definitely up there.
What about yourself, Blair?
Jumping on the 95-96 away kit bandwagon for sure.
Always
on the coattails. Always on the coattails.
Come on, Blair, come on.
No, just class, isn't it? Like 90s is right back in fashion, and it just.
What about when you started the club? What would you say your favourite shirt?
So I will admit
Like a
now.
couple of years ago,
I will admit now on video that I am the worst kind of fan. But actually, first season I started going was 2004-2005. Like no interest in football before then. Obviously chose the best time to start supporting the club.
So Alan Preston dynasty.
Until about 4 years ago I thought that supporting a football team literally comprised relegation battles and going away to Stranraer. So for the time probably then there's been some stinkers in that time, you'd have to say as well.
Barcelona one was quite nice.
Barcelona away one, they added this one.
Yeah, that was
Pretty
alright.
nice.
You can't get a hold of that one either. I've not seen one come up online. It's like the hidden kit.
It's quite I do like that one. The Umbro ones that looked like Starfleet Command for the bands at the top actually look alright, although probably less said about that season, probably the better. Probably the Zara ones as well for the first season back in the first division after we got relegated. Again, pretty miserable season, but pretty solid looking kits. But
the Zara one, the first year we were back in the first division, I remember that because the home and the away one were identical, but it was just the colours switched, and the black one was just.
I was going to wear the black one tonight.
So nice, so nice. And I ended up switching it. I think the yellow one was the home one originally.
When we come back on the podcast, we'll wear different shirts.
Yes,
I mean, I love the fact that like it wasn't planned, but the fact that you've got the two white and then the two and the yellow.
It's almost coordinated, Michael, isn't it?
My God,
almost.
And you went with red, which is
So tell us your favourite Livy shirt. Well, you've seen them in the retro day, but also just any football shirt.
I'd say kind of it would probably be. I think you said it was a 2001, the one that's like the black but had the black bar.
The Ayo wore.
He's rubbing his hands.
He means business.
There was a couple like ones that were like solid black with like a slight gold trim to it, like that one. Was it Nicky that wore that one?
That's the 06-07.
That one's quite good. And then I think there was one that Keats wore that was like white with like a red trim. I think it had like a proper collar.
I think I saw that.
So there's a few ones that like popped up. It was quite nice.
Better than him, to be fair.
He's just a handsome. He's just a handsome man. You can put any shirt on it.
Yes. Who's the? You've obviously worked quite close with it. Who smells the nicest out of a lot of them?
I still can't properly smell from COVID. So.
I imagine Keegan Jacobs smells really nice.
To be fair, it wasn't really on my agenda to smell.
Not really like a sniffer.
Scotty, do you mind coming a bit closer, just looking stiff here?
Sure.
You did that when you got home, you just sniffed all the shirts after.
You've not washed them, have you?
To be fair, I think the girls wore them after them, so
definitely washed them.
Yes. I'm going to throw a quite controversial one in the mix. It's not my favourite shirt ever.
Okay.
But it was the first year that I started going.
Okay.
The white and orange one.
kit.
Oh yeah, the sort of salmon one that people
Aye.
had the netting underneath.
Yeah, actually, I quite
That's
like
quite
that one.
controversial. Why would you say that?
But I like it. I like it.
That's
A lot
what
of
you
folk, I
like
think a
about
lot of
it.
folk gave it a lot of hate because it was so out of context of black and amber, black and amber, black and amber, orange and white,
But-
black and amber.
But like, it was like the away strip was meant to be like red and white, and then obviously when we were in Europe, it was that purple, obviously for intelligent finance. So
Aye.
like it was just we. It's an identity crisis that we've had for like since the very beginning. It's like, oh my god, just like let's go back to basics. But I think the club, I don't know, it's just because obviously we were a black home kit before, like, and then it's like folk are like, oh, bring back the amber or yellow or orange or whatever shade it was.
Well, that's something that we've sort of discussed privately in our little group chat before. But like, as fans, would you prefer, Livy? Do you like the fact that we go from black to amber to yellow, or would you like every year you know it's going to be a black home kit?
In
I know.
a photography sense, no black kit.
No black kit.
Just because trying to
Goes that way.
trying to photograph a black kit in night games is a nightmare.
Fair enough.
I mean, it looks
Auto,
good.
it might work.
I mean, some
Just
of
a
it
special-
Have you ventured to manual mode yet?
this home season, like the home kit this season has grown a lot, but yeah, when it comes to photographing, like white kits and yellow kits will just generally look a bit better in photography.
I don't know. I think it's quite nice that like because some clubs you just see it's like, oh, they've literally changed like the smallest thing, but you're wanting 50 quid off me, and it's like,
Motherwell.
but like, it's a wee bit crap. Like that's all they do, and it's just like if they change the colour, it's like it is a wee bit different.
Yeah, that's
But then
a
I
good
suppose-
point. That is a good
I'm-
point.
I'm-
On the flip side,
I was going to say I'm a big fan of switching it around.
Yeah,
I know that might be a
yeah.
minority opinion,
I am as well.
probably, but
Yeah, can you imagine if the only thing they talk about your kit every season was that the diameter of your hoops had changed slightly?
yeah.
that's-
Can you
yeah.
imagine that? It's, yeah, like it, it gives us something to talk about, and
Yeah, that's true.
and it also mixes it up. I like the switching. I like.
The white and orange was just a bit strange.
Oh,
But
it's a bit
everyone else was
So
fine.
I love the purple kit,
Yeah.
but what's the opinions? Because we spoke to Colin McMenamin and he fucking hated it.
He said he was going to give it away to him and he still no sent it. And we spoke to him about a year ago.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
I don't know.
I think that. Aye. On you go.
No, you go.
I think the fact is that. Fuck off! I think the fact is out there. Do you know we've not had anything like that since? We never had anything like it.
No,
before.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, aye.
That's your chance to experiment as you're away kit. So.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'd like a third kit. We've genuinely like a third kit just for the banner.
Aye.
It's not out there.
I've always.
With what Joma have done this year, see with the Hib, I'm really impressed with the Hibs kits this season.
Because they copied Aston Villa, or
Did they?
what? Yeah.
Did they copy Aston Villa with?
Aye, they put the map. through
Oh,
it
the
in
map
there.
is that from Villa?
Their third kit for the previous season.
What was that?
Aye.
I'd love a Livy map. Like just.
Roundabouts everywhere.
I know a guy who does
McDonald's
that.
drive-through.
No, even the third kit for Joma, like is it the Sunshine and Leaf one?
Oh yeah,
It's awesome,
Beautiful.
and
Beautiful.
hopefully Joma can kind of do something.
Well, that's
Like,
what-
not similar, but nice for us next season.
But that's what I said. I mean, like you've got 3 really smart Hibs kits, and they probably obviously the Sunshine. That should have been the following year when
Yeah.
the other kit might not have been that nice, and it's
Aye,
like,
yeah.
well, fine, you're profiting for it, which is great, but that would have been happening.
It's not like they're in fucking Europe, is it?
Nah, no. Aye. No. Fuck.
We don't have opinions as other clubs do, we guys.
Never.
You're not allowed.
You know, I can't have opinions enough.
We're professionals.
What was it you liked? Rangers fans being called?
Lovely gentlemen. I think it was.
Cut that. Right, so before we finish up on our last question, which is always the five-a-side team, we've sat, we've discussed, we've had a fucking wonderful time. Well, I have anyway.
At least one of us has.
But listen, this is my content. It's not even shared. This is mine. But it's clear that you guys have a great rapport, as I put here. How important is that? Sort of how important was it? Was it a sort of instantly thinking, I can work with these guys.
We
Like,
just basically, me and Blair just basically got so battered and tired, we just gave it and just rolled with it.
I can imagine after being in a group chat for like less than a month, I was like,
Less
oh
than
my
a
god,
month.
oh my
Less than
god,
a
this
week.
guy,
Terrible.
this guy just keeps going, doesn't he?
I honestly lost count of many times I'd wake up for like work at 6 o'clock, check my phone, and be like,
I'm just
40 messages. 3 o'clock in the morning.
Just
"Oh, that's
passionate.
about this." I'm like,
I'm just passionate though. I think that's good.
your passion shines through. I think that's the big thing.
That's not a bad thing.
No, but like as we discussed earlier, I mean, like Michael's enthusiasm for the ladies team.
That's
the
all you're
ladies game.
enthusiastic about. Everyone else is getting bumped.
But like, yeah, is it good knowing that you can sort of like just buy into each other?
No,
And
we
you
hate each
just-
other.
I thought you do.
Nah,
I
we
thought you
don't.
Let the guard down, David. Wait!
We said before, if we didn't work in the way that we did and the way we bounce off each other, we wouldn't be the way we are. We wouldn't be a team, and it would just
Just
be.
told on me. That's what I got this
Please, because I've been in other clubs and stuff like where just the people you work with, they're just there. You kind of you talk to them, you go home, and that's it. Whereas the thing is, like with Jimmy, we'll talk literally all day. And also, like when it helps, like going to trips like St Johnson and stuff, like in a car, and like you just have a laugh, and that's even kind of it's. Even like when some of the results don't go our way, like we can still enjoy the work of each other because we'll just get well.
Yeah,
That's fun. Like as I said, I think like the enthusiasm just sort of bounces off each other. Like it's quite good. Like 90% of the time it's a proper ripping for everybody, like proper. But the 10%, like we do sort of get on, and I
Fucking
think
love weaving.
I love waving. But like I think that's like it's sort of difficult to explain. It's just like we all work really well together as a sort of unit, which is quite good. And if we come up with an idea, alright, some of them might be terrible, but we turn it into a good idea. So I think having that positive spin on things, and like hopefully like the clubs see that as well. Like we see that.
Give us a media room.
Mike's obviously wanting a media room, but I think like we've all just got Livingston at the like. Regardless of our own work, like there's probably nothing selfish about any of the work that we do. It's generally to be better.
You had to get that in. Classic.
But I think that as a volunteer, I think that if it wasn't enjoyable, I wouldn't be here.
no,
Which is like giving up time for this. Like I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. So
yeah,
it's been
I
fun.
think that's a big thing for me. Like, it was good to enjoy it. I think that is the main thing. If we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't do it. I think the fact that like certainly Michael, maybe not so much Dave, definitely
Relax.
certainly very creative. It's good to bounce the ideas off it. I really feel that people want, we actually want to do better.
yeah.
We actually want to do better for the club, and that's hopefully that shines through in everything we do.
Oh, amazing.
Doesn't mean I like you still.
You just lie on that you like us, so don't even pretend.
Nah, to be fair, it's alright.
I like he's on, if that helps.
Thanks, Liam. That's me. Jesus.
But I only produce mediocre content. We do a time check.
That's still more work than what Dave does. So
18 minutes.
Bang on, 18
we're on.
minutes.
So we've got 10 minutes left. Is that enough for the teams? Fans?
That should be alright. We'll go Michael for because his should be done quite quickly.
but then kind of isn't mine like a bit tricky because if it's only current players, like if I leave one or two people out, then might never see him. It's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Get your head back.
Get him out. Just skip
Half hour hashtag.
Aye.
Let's
Bring
get
back Ray.
Bring back Ray. Hashtag.
Ray, if you're watching, there is a vacancy for you.
But do you want to give it a miss then? Just in
No,
case.
I'll get it.
Sure?
Yeah,
Sure?
well,
Sound cool. Right.
I'm going to tag everyone that you didn't say.
Within the 5
Series of tweets, just tagging them all individually, one by
Did you hear
one
what
by
Mike
one.
said that you're in his five-a-side team?
He said it was shite. Right, so as we always do on the Almondview podcast, we're nothing but consistent. We ask our guests the last question, your dream Livy five-a-side. Now we'll start with Michael, who will pick pick current players only because you haven't been around the club. I guess you could use your one game against Hamilton as well if you want. Stevie Wallace.
Let's give it a go. Keeper, I'll go with Liam Kelly.
Oh, nice.
That's fair.
Harsh on Max.
Because also, like Max is a great keeper and some of the saves he's made this season, but I think for the bit for me that I picked Liam Kelly is one, I know the history of what he's like with Livy anyway, but two, being at the Motherwell game and when the ball went to him, the fact that he stopped because
Stephen Carey, brilliant.
Just for something like that, that generally kind of tells you what a person's like, and that's kind of the person you'd want in the club. So just based on that alone, put Liam straight in.
Nice.
That's fair.
That's fucking very
Good point.
Four more players to name.
4 more players. Got to throw Nicky in.
Oh yeah, aye.
Nicky was the first player that actually went out his way to come to me and actually say hello, how you doing, would actually come and chat to us. It's like the first proper game of the season that we did that I did was Brecon away. And
what? Who?
Brecon.
Gordon Ramsay.
I'm not loving an English version.
So
Brichon.
So when we went to Brichon, Nicky wasn't back yet because obviously all the injuries and COVID stuff. So when he was warming up, he actually came out his way and stopped training to come over and actually say hello. Nicky's a top guy anyway as well, which is handy. Nice. So kind of put Nicky in there as well.
Cool.
Excellent.
3 more. Who are you choosing? Scottie Pippen. Who are you choosing?
Oh come on, it has to be.
Yeah, I'll put Pitts in.
I can just name off if you want.
No. I think with Pitts, kind of, even though I've only been involved with the club for 5 months, you can see specific players, the impact they can have.
Yeah.
And I think Saturday's game against St Johnstone was one of those kind of games that showed that when Pitts has been out, people might not necessarily pick up on what he does, but you watch him when he came back in St Johnstone, and within half an hour now, you'd be like, that's why you need him in the team. Because with a player like Nicky, he can go forward, but Pitts is just going to keep that middle ground. So it'll be fine.
Love that.
That's true.
2 more.
And 2 more.
And he loves the club as well.
He
just loves it. His celebration on Saturday was, you could tell,
it's just
mental.
Wasn't it?
Two more.
Do you know any players?
I'm going to have to go with a Championship Ronaldo in Joel Newbley.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Very left field.
That's controversial.
Like we kicked that ball for us.
Me and Joel got a mutual mate, so it was the same kind of thing with Nicky. It was one of the times when I was doing training and Joel was there. Just got talking to him, and when he mentioned, is it this club? And I had a friend that played for them. It turned out they know each other and they've played together. So it's one of obviously you guys and everyone will kind of watch Joel on socials and kind of match stuff. For me, I said, I can get to know Joel a bit better, and it's the same for the guys. Also, you would have seen it in the media. The person Joel is, it's the same with Nicky. The kind of person the player is can make a huge difference in how the club is and kind of how everything is for him. So having someone like Joel is just going to be, So kind of big man up top. And then last one.
Who's your last one? Do you know any other players in the club? Both.
Back yourself into a corner here. You're already on the strings.
I might.
If you've got a big man up top, you may as well have a wee man.
I know, but I was thinking I could go completely left field and then just play someone completely out of position, playing them up top. Big Gary Malley.
Oh, nice.
Class.
Deserves so much respect.
If you've got Joel and Gary up top, they're going to bully everyone.
Fucking Bash Brothers for meaty ducks.
So and that's the thing, when you look at some of the games, Bruce is coming up against big meaty defenders, but if you've got Joel and Gary, just cheeky elbow here and there,
I like that.
2 goalies, eh?
2 goalies.
Exactly, and then if Liam gets forward, he can go up top, and then Gary can go goal.
That's right.
Yeah, it's 5-a-side.
I like that.
That is
I'm not gonna lie.
Ronnie
I'm not gonna lie. Ronnie goalie between Liam Kelly and Gary Malley. That is content.
What? No,
It's a
media
it's a dynamic team.
That's very
And
dynamic.
then just for gigs, we'll just have Max and Brian as subs to come on, like rolling subs. Just a whole team of goalies.
Fucking
That's
love
what you
that.
want.
Man. Oh man, I don't want to hear the rest of them. Gary
I mean,
Malley's
like, the character Max is like it'd be 5-a-side pitch. Like you play a ball in, Max is just going to do a bicycle kick. So you got a bit of flair, you got a bit of strength.
Got a bit of everything, eh?
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
And then you got Brian, and Brian's like the stereotypical American who's just overly nice, which is lovely, and he's so welcoming. Like, so you've got all this brute strength, and then Brian can come in and be like, "Hi guys."
So it's not really based on really skill; it's how personable they are. When you're taking photos of them, it's basically what it boils down to. That's
I mean,
I like that.
I mean, like out of all the players, like I've not watched Joel play, I've not watched Gary play, I've not watched Brian play. It's about the person. That's what you want.
That's fair.
Must be the first person there to actually put somebody who's not kicked a ball for us. 5-a-side team.
We've been going since
No
95,
pressure.
but who cares? It's not even played for us.
I mean, if we're going to talk about that, there's like if we're going to talk about guys that we could put in that could lead the line that has scored at the famous Tony Mack, it's got to be Mr. Bedora.
Yeah, we all scored in the North Stand.
Yeah. So.
Win.
Nah, I'm only joking. It's like a supporters club game or something.
Yeah,
after
see,
a
I mean,
bit.
like,
Oh man.
We've not all conceded at the south end.
Look,
either.
it's not about me. It's about you guys.
Well,
We should
but,
say
but
the
surely, like, if you've played in one game and scored, isn't your conversion rate higher than Jets?
Oh, might actually very well be.
That's a fair point, actually.
Cut that for the video.
I was going to say after
He's not coming back. Jet's not coming back. We'll keep that in.
Get him slacked.
So we've had Gary Malley up top in one of the 5 teams. Blair, take it away. Who's making your 5-a-side team, baby?
This was a tough choice, as we discussed just there. In goals, I would have to say Neil Alexander.
Nice.
Why would you choose Neil Alexander?
Very solid choice. I think the season we went up, I think he is probably one of the biggest parts why we made it. Personally, I think his attitude probably gave us that wee boost to go to the next level and take us
You
here.
never seen him the first time around, did you?
Never saw him the first time.
40-year-old, is it?
I
He's 40
I think the age just buys into that cult status, which makes it just
Aye.
him, the number one for me in the team. In defence, I would go for Oscar Rubio.
Nice.
So
Love that.
I would caveat that and say I think I've probably caught him towards the end of his spell at Livy, but first kind of player that I really liked when I was watching the team.
Interview available now on Spotify.
You're welcome. Just like cult figure again. Like for me,
Yeah.
like when I was like, a
Proper.
wee guy watching football, like this big Spanish centre half who just was a total monster in the air.
He's classy.
Really classy player, and probably made even better by that deck chair strip, which just seems to age like a fine wine.
I love that shit. I love that
I used
shit.
to hate it, but now I'm on board with it. See you're crawling, your skin is crawling. That strip.
I didn't mind.
I nearly won up tonight as well.
It's quite
I like
Nice,
it.
nice.
I was the same. It took a while for it to grow on me. But as I've got older, I'm like, oh, that was actually
Aye, pretty good.
weird. But nice.
The midfield two, definitely a bit of recency bias in here, but I don't think anybody would dispute them. First one I would go for is Scott Pittman.
Oh, of course.
And to be fair,
Of course.
if his Livingston career probably ended the season we went up, I still would have included him purely for his performances in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen this before. I don't actually think there has been a player more in our history who's turned up in more bigger games than he has. Like, obviously scored in a Challenge Cup final, scored a league winning goal for League One, scored in both legs of the playoffs, numerous goals in the Premiership. Just, I think as you said, Michael, when he was in your team,
He scored both goals in the playoff final.
both legs. Sorry, both ties. Yeah, he scored
Aye.
against United away and then Partick at home. Just big game player, and then you can see he came back to the team recently on Saturday. Made all the difference for me. So yeah, 100% in there.
My favourite thing is when folks say that all he does is run.
That's all he does, yeah.
All he does is run. They're like, of course. Apart from all the goals that he scores as well.
I think he surprised everyone on Saturday with his knee slide showing like that. There's a bit more to him than just running.
Oh, aye.
I never clocked that at the time. because the camera was focused on Xander Clark looking like so desolate. And I walked into a step back and I thought, I've never seen him knee slide before. What's going on?
Amazing.
Truly footage for the ages. But yeah,
Can you do that in plastic? So you know.
I can't get that. So I think he took the opportunity with both hands. He 100% would be in. Alongside him, I would say Keegan Jacobs.
Nice.
For me,
Nice.
absolute mainstay. Probably obviously the entire time I've watched the team. Can actually remember his debut quite well because I think he scored on it in a cup tie, I believe. Again, probably the same vein as Pitts. Just always seems to turn up in the big games. And for me, I think the team's better when he's in it. Definitely been a bit of a miss this season.
Yeah.
And up front, perhaps controversial. I would say there've been probably better players on paper who've played, but in terms of sheer Hollywood, I would say Ian Russell has got to be up there for
Oh,
just
no,
just a player who's class. And we see some of the goals he scored. Definitely, probably maybe could have played at a higher level. Really, if he had the chance. I thought he was class for us. I thought he's winding up the opposition. He's one of those stereotypical players where if he does like his style of play against you, you're absolutely incandescent with rage.
Yeah.
But when it's for you, like you love it. Like when he ran down the touchline at Dumbarton away the first season he joined us, like that's the stuff you want to see as a fan.
So fun.
Just pure Hollywood, pure box office. really loved him as a player. And of course I think the season after he left us, he of course scored and probably dived against us, which I remember going absolutely tonto at.
Yeah.
For Queen of the Side. So probably just cements my point that I've just said. So that would be my 5. Quite a tough one to pick. But
So who would win out of both teams?
Blues 100%.
Michael's
Because he doesn't have Gary Malley on top. No, I don't know. It'd be a close game. I think Gary Malley would.
Gary Malley would be a difference maker.
Do a job.
Malley and Joe nailed it front. Just that's what James are made of.
Machines.
Machines.
Two machines.
Although I have to say, you said it was a controversial choice. I don't think it is. Ian Russell doesn't get the love. Like I think he's the top scorer for Love, is he?
Is he?
I think he's up there.
I think he's up there, but I think like if you
70 goals or something.
Obviously I think a lot of people have recency bias with like guys like Hardy, Miller.
Yeah.
You know, and probably what he achieved is relatively minute. You know, one kind of second division title, a couple of goals in the first division. Double
figures every year. He played for
really consistent play as well. And I really liked him as a player. So he's definitely in for me.
Right, here we go. This will be interesting.
Why would it be interesting?
I don't know, because a couple of names that you've already shouted out so far.
Ian Russell, top goal scorer.
There you go.
Scotty Pittman's 5th all-time top goal scorer.
He's holding it in.
Where are you getting this information?
Transfermarket.co.uk.
Ever reliable.
Who's second? Is David Beckham second?
Mark McNulty.
I was going to say Mark McNulty up there. He's also a bit of a cult. So my top 5 then. Who are we going with?
Right, 5 aside, let's go.
Goalie. We'll start with the goalies. Juan Sanchez Brotto.
Yes.
Javier.
Juan Sanchez Brotto. One Sanchez
Brotto. Okay.
Fucking hell. Oh my god.
That's not what you meant. I'll take it at face value.
Right. Javier Sanchez Brotto would be my choice. I think it was just that Premiership season. I think that sort of that was just the sort of peak level, and obviously he went on to same for Celtic. I think he went
Celtic.
Some of his saves he pulled off. Even I think it was the Challenge Cup final. I think we got beat by Airdrie. Was it at Airdrie? I think it was. Oh, he was just like as a shot stopper, he was just outstanding. But I mean, notable mentions potential. Rab Douglas back in the day. Got Horace Stout.
You're showing your age, mate.
That's basically what's happening.
Rab Douglas is touching on this podcast because we asked him to come on and he said yes, and then we're like, are you good to go? Ghosted us ever since.
That's fair. That bumped you too.
I think he listened to us. What a bunch of virgins.
Can you imagine playing fives with Brotto though? Like he'd get the ball in his hands and he'd launch it fucking 3 pitches down.
So this is the thing that annoys me, like modern goalkeepers now, is like we just want to kick the ball as hard as possible up in the air, whereas Sanchez had that elevated head height, and it was almost that. Obviously it was Fernandez. It was like whatever side Brotto was at, he would just ping it down to Fernandez. Where like 60, 70 yards up the pitch and it's like stuck to his boot. It's just like, why did like goalies not do that anymore? So he offered quite a lot than just obviously short stopping, but
it was his style of kicking that was so distinctive as well. The big high leg that would come over and almost like hit through the ball. It was class.
It never really caught on, but like I just don't understand why people just want to punt the ball up in the air to a big massive centre half just to nod it, whereas like just into feet. But notable mentions, maybe Mario. You remember Mario? I mean, it was garbage.
Yeah, Polish boy. I mean him. It was between him and Colin Stewart.
Colin Stewart, and then like Blair touched on Neil Alexander. He was good both stints. Really, he was class.
Unbelievable.
Nicky Colton probably doesn't get a lot of credit.
Yeah, you mentioned that as well before. I think doesn't get a lot.
He has a great stat, Nick Colkin.
What's that?
He played for Man United for, I think it's the shortest debut in history for Man United. He's only played one game for United, and it was, I think it was like 28 seconds. He came on so late in the game. That's the only time I ever played for United. It was 28 seconds.
He was a good goalie.
I liked him.
Defender. I don't know who. I did like Big John Anderson. He was good. Blair, you maybe remember. Oh, you'll not remember him. You weren't a fan then.
Probably wasn't even alive.
So, there was John Anderson, Paul Dees.
Yeah,
Paul Dees.
yeah.
Paul Dees. He was pretty good. Obviously, Oscar Rubio was a sort of big one. There's recent Hull kit maybe Gallagher, but Marvin Andrews.
I knew yeah, had to be Big Marv.
Like, it was weird because he wasn't that tall, but he just won every single header. Just I think obviously he complimented Rubio that was the ball playing sort of sweeper centre half, and Marv was just a big ball winner, no nonsense, which is quite good because I think it was like him, Tosh, and Burns that they beat us 4-0, and then we signed them, and they all came as a sort of trio. But Marvin, he was class. Obviously, played international football, and then went on to Rangers at one point as well.
Yeah, and then he played for pretty much every team.
I played with like Cody and all that. It was like, man,
he played for Wrexham at one point for like 2 games. Then Kirkentilick, Rob Roy, and then signed for Hamilton or something. Like it was just like all in the same season. And it was just fucking mental. You look at his Wikipedia, and it's like Livy Rangers, and you're like,
2 pages.
32 or something when he left Livy, and then it's just like this underneath Rangers.
Oh, it was class. But he was class. I like Marv. If I'm playing 2 in the middle of the park, I don't know, like obviously Jacobs, that was a big thing. He was good. Scotty Pittman, he's definitely potentially in there. Like like although they say about the work rate and all that, like I think one of the things is that it's obviously contagious. And I'd have Scotty Pittman in there. I think he's definitely. If he's not on your team, then questions definitely need to be asked. I think he's brought a lot. What's he? Top appearance holder or something?
Was Premiership
scored and definitely have Scotty. Someone else in the middle of the park. I was a big fan of Stevie Tosh. He didn't get the.
A lot of players that we've had on said Stevie Tosh was very underrated.
Really done all the dirty work. He was class. But if we're just going for pure quality, probably someone in the same team, Kino. He was just unbelievable. Him and Fernandez were just like these Spanish wizards that were just like, do something. They'd just do something magic. Wasn't he that tall? And I didn't even really hear just passing the ball and like when it shot long. It was almost like we shouldn't have had him. Like he shouldn't have been at Livy.
I'm sure someone else said that. Like one of his, so anyone that played with Kino, we were always surprised that like he was in the team because you did sort of forget about him a wee bit. But like every player that played with him said he's technically one of the best players they've ever played with. And it's just weird how he ended up at Livy because there was no sort of, he wasn't really well known before or after.
So we'd have him in there. So we've got one spot left. David Fernandez is probably a notable mention because he was just sheer class. He was probably the one of the most skillful players that we've had. mentioned Ian Russell.
It's just
obviously.
becoming more like a Watch Mojo list. Of like,
I like it.
you'll get to like you've got like I've done this and this and this. Honourable mention.
This is what the fans. This is content. This is what the fans want to hear.
No, they want to hear what me and Blair say, not you.
That's fair.
Spend more time talking about a 5-a-side team than you have making graphics all season. God.
I'm going to take my scarf and go home. Fernandez probably up there. Mark McNulty.
Nice.
He didn't really get a lot of maybe credit. I mean, he's still playing now, isn't he? Still
Dundee United.
still Dundee United. Barry Wilson. It's definitely got it. If I had a 6-a-side team, Barry Wilson was in it. Like, he was just superb. I think one of the good stats is he scored like the last goal. Was it the 19th century? Was it the 20th century? And then he scored the first.
Don't mention it to him though, because he's fed up talking about it.
Oh, is it?
He doesn't like talking about that or Cali Thistle beating Celtic 3-1, because when we interviewed him and I asked him about it, he like whispered something under his breath, but we can't figure out what he said. I've had it like right up to my ear, like what is he saying? And I think he's just saying like fucking no again.
So if I was to go with a sort of striker, any guesses of who it could potentially be?
Gary Malley.
It's not Gary Malley. It's not stretch.
Strikers. I'll go. I think I'll pick someone really weird, like fucking
Del Nero.
Steve Hislop.
A bit off a shack.
Ramon Sierra. Mind him? Boy with the mullet for Hearts.
Or Jamie Mole or something.
Jesus Christ.
Callum Elliott.
Paul
Who
Shields.
do you think I'm going to say, Thomas?
Who's the German boy that we had last
It's not him.
Lars Lukas.
Djokovic that made a couple of appearances that you probably haven't heard of, but I'll name drop him. Who do you think it's going to be? You'll probably get this, Liam, and I'm surprised that you haven't said this.
I really can't. Nathan Lowndes.
I quite like Nathan Lowndes here, but it's not Nathan Lowndes or Caputo or Del Nero.
Who is it?
Davy Bingham.
Oh fuck! How did I forget about that?
Yeah. Okay.
Why did I not say David Bingham?
Yeah.
I can't. Look, you're something lovely.
That's the only person who could make David Fernandez a notable mention. Like, different players, but
sheer quality.
he was just unbelievable.
It was quite weird because like I grew up. That was the time when I was playing football, so like that was who I grew up watching. Because his awareness was just unbelievable. He couldn't play with his right foot at all, which was like my happiness. But like his awareness of bringing other players up to play and playing just ridiculous through balls. Like it was just stunning. Like obviously you didn't get the time to appreciate David Bingham, but like he would, like you said in the Legends game or
Keegan Jacobs said testimony.
It was
literally like time had stopped and it was just like David Bingham just came back as when he was last playing with Livy and just these touches and runs. David Bingham. Like, I'm quite happy to openly admit that I've fanboyed over David Bingham since I was being about 13 or 14.
Unbelievable.
I still do love him.
Like
Gentleman as well, lovely bloke.
like we only spoke to him over like Zoom or whatever, but I think if I actually physically
You'd cuddle him and hug him.
I'd be like fucking that. Like I think he would be the first person that I would meet and proper shake and be like, I fucking love you. Yeah.
Same.
Brilliant. That's some team actually.
That is some team.
Without David Fernandez though.
I know.
Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of the.
I think you can drop I'd have went for two strikers. I'd went for Bingham and Fernandez because then you've got the goals and the assists for both. Personally.
But that's the problem with David Fernandez, is give you everything but really finishing.
Yeah, well that's the thing. He never scored a lot for a little bit, but it was all creative stuff.
Laughed well though.
What a guy he's with. I love you, David. Keep emailing us. He emails us sometimes. Just saying,
like once.
How you doing? No. Told us at like 3 AM on Instagram that he loved us once. And I was like, that's it. Alright.
My guy.
Is it the David Badura school
Well, that I hope was fucking excellent content. It was for me.
We only produce excellent content, Liam.
Exactly.
Content kings.
Content kings. Exactly. But no, thank you so much for coming on. That was fucking excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you enjoy yourselves?
No, absolutely fucking not. It's fucking shite. Why am I wasting my time in the fucking Black Bull in mid-Calder Blair? Why?
This is where we're
This is
all
where the
gonna be now.
content's made.
This is where the magic
This is Livy. This is Almondview HQ from now on. But no, thank you so much. Thank you as well. Is that camera on?
Yes, it is.
It is on. Thank you for watching or listening. Make sure to subscribe to all of our content. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Listen to our previous episodes on your Spotify's, your Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Hope to see you next week. Forza love it.